Hello everyone and welcome. Today we will be discussing about hydrogen power plants and their role in the future of clean energy. Hydrogen is a promising fuel that produces electricity efficiently with water as its only byproduct. In this presentation, we'll cover how hydrogen power plants work, why they should be explored, the challenges preventing them from going mainstream, and the latest developments in the field. By the end, you'll have a clear understanding of their potential and what lies ahead. Let's start with its definition. A hydrogen power plant is a concept designed for a new widespread source of electricity. Essentially, it is a facility which uses hydrogen to produce electrical energy. In simple terms, a hydrogen power plant is a facility that uses hydrogen to generate electricity. The main benefit of hydrogen power plants is that they produce clean energy with water as the only byproduct instead of harmful emissions. This makes them a promising solution for a sustainable and eco-friendly power source. Okay, so this is the general working principle of hydrogen power plants, and its detailed working principle will be explained later on the succeeding slides. So large tanks of liquid hydrogen will feed into thousands of hydrogen fuel cells. These fuel cells are solid structures containing an electrolyte fluid and two terminals much like batteries. Okay, so sa isang hydrogen power plants, meron doang malalaking tangke or tangke-tangke ng hydrogen fluid na siya magsusupply sa maraming hydrogen fuel cells. At yung hydrogen fuel cells, it consists of electrolyte solution or electrolyte liquid and dalawang terminals which are the anode and the cathode. Much like a battery. Okay, so kasi yung battery, it consists also of an electrolyte solution and two terminals. So the reactants flow into the cells, in this case hydrogen and oxygen. They intermingle with the electrolyte to produce an electrical charge and water as a byproduct. The water flows out another port while the electricity is siphoned off the terminals and held in gigantic multi-ton batteries. The electricity resides in the batteries until it is needed, in which case it is sent out through the local power grid just like any other type of power plant. So kapag pumasok yung hydrogen at oxygen sa fuel cell, so magkakaroon ng reaction dahil sa electrolyte solution. Dahil dito, magkakaroon tayo ng products which are the electricity of course, or yung kuryente, and yung byproduct na tubig or H2O. So yung tubig na byproduct, lumalabas lang yon, habang yung kuryente or yung electricity naman ay iniipon sa malalaking baterya or multi-ton batteries. So yung electricity na yon, nasa batteries lang yon hanggang sa kakailanganin na siya. So kapag kailangan na ng kuryente, kinukuha ito mula sa baterya at ipapadala na sa power grid just like any other type of power plants. So electrolyte is a chemical compound that conducts electricity by changing into ions when melted or dissolved into a solution. It can be a liquid or paste-like substance. For example, ay ammonium chloride, zinc chloride, potassium hydroxide, lithium, tin phosphorus sulfide, and sulfuric acid. Anode naman is the negative or reducing electrode that releases electrons to the external circuit and oxidizes during the electrochemical reaction. The examples are zinc, metallic lithium, and lead. So anode, alam naman natin yun, yung anode siya yung negative side since ito yung side na maraming electrons. So si anode siya yung nagre-release ng electrons papunta sa external circuit, papunta sa cathode. And lastly ay yung cathode. So cathode is the positive or oxidizing electrode that acquires electrons from the external circuit and is reduced during the electrochemical reaction. So unlike anode, yung cathode, ito yung positive side. So kung yung anode kanina yung nagbibigay ng electrons sa external circuit, yung cathode naman yung ready na mag-acquire ng electrons from the external circuit. Its examples include manganese dioxide, carbon, lead dioxide, and copper. So ayan, let's talk about the battery schematic diagram. So ano nga ba yung parts nitong battery, no? Pag-aralan natin dito sa pamamagitan ng schematic diagram na to. So, na-discuss naman kanina na kung saan yung battery nga ay may three main components, which are the anode, the cathode, and the electrolyte, no? Kung saan dito makikita natin yung anode and cathode is nakasubmerge siya or nakababad doon sa electrolyte solution, no? Pero hindi sila directly nagtatouch dahil merong semi-permeable barrier na nasa gitna nila, na kung saan hahati doon sa anode terminal at doon sa cathode terminal. So ano ba yung nangyayari kasi dito sa anode and cathode na rin? So dito sa anode is
nagkakaroon sila ng chemical reaction with the electrolyte solution, na kung saan ito ay nagpo-produce ng excess electrons. So, anong mangyayari dyan yan sa excess electrons? Dadaan yan dito, no? So, makikita nyo, meron dyan external circuit sa taas, no? Diyan dadaan yung electron flow, no? Papunta ngayon sa cathode terminal. So, dito naman, sa kabilang banda is yung cathode, which produces the electron acceptor. And that will combine with the excess electron from the anode. Then, the cycle repeats over and over until the batteries are depleted. So, let's proceed with the battery construction. So, here is the picture of what is inside the battery. So, the battery is built up of a metal cap, a carbon rod, a zinc case, a manganese oxide, a moist paste of ammonium chloride, and a metal bottom. And that composes the battery, no? So, let's talk about how the battery works, no? Pag-usapan natin kung paano nga ba yung gumagana yung battery na to. So, sabi dito, there are a couple of chemical reactions within the battery. At the anode, the electrode reacts with the electrolyte in a reaction that produces too many free electrons. As a result, these free electrons repel each other and try to go out to a place with fewer electrons. Meanwhile, at the cathode, another chemical reaction occurs simultaneously that enables the electrode to accept electrons. In a battery, the only place to go is the cathode, but the separator keeps the electrons from going straight from the anode to the cathode within the battery. When the circuit is closed, a wire connects the cathode and the anode. The electrons will be able to get to the cathode, no? So, katulad lang ng diniscuss natin kanina, na kung saan nga, merong separate reactions na nangyayari between the anode terminal and the cathode terminal, no? Na kung saan, dun nga sa anode terminal is nagpo-produce siya ng excess electrons. While dun naman sa cathode terminal ay nagpo-produce naman siya ng mas konting electrons. So, ano yung mangyayari sa konting electrons na yun? Siya ay nagiging electron acceptor, or po pwede rin nating tawaging protons. Na kung saan, doon sa anode is yung excess electrons ay hindi basta-basta makakatagos papunta sa cathode, no? Dahil nga merong semi-permeable barrier doon sa gitna. So, anong mangyayari? Hahanap ngayon yan ng dadaanan niya. And then, kung meron yan nakakonect sa cathode at anode terminal outside, no? Na isang wire, no? Ang mangyayari nga doon ay magkakaroon ng closed circuit, na kung saan nga doon dadaloy yung electrons, na kung saan negative, no? So, kapag nangyari yun, negative lang yung dadaloy, which is yung electrons patungo doon sa cathode, no? And then, doon magsasama yung protons and electrons. Yung excess electrons and then yung electron acceptors, no? And then, the cycle will repeat. So, dito naman tayo sa chemical reaction na nangyayari inside the zinc-carbon battery. So, hindi lang naman iisang type ang meron tayong battery, no? Hindi lang naman isang type ng battery yung meron tayo, no? Meron tayong iba't ibang type ng battery, no? And one of example here is the zinc-carbon battery. So, in the anode part of the battery is composed of zinc, no? That is the primary element for that particular anode of the battery. While in the cathode is a manganese dioxide, no? Where carbon is added to increase the conductivity. And the electrolyte solution is the ammonium chloride. So when that combines, no, the overall reaction in the cell is this formula. Zinc plus 2 manganese dioxide will yield to zinc oxide and manganese oxide. The exact mechanism for this is complicated, and there is still controversy over the exact mechanism. However, the approximate half-cell reactions are this. So in anode part, the zinc will yield to zinc with 2 protons plus 2 electrons. While in cathode, this is the reaction. 2 ammonium ions or NH4 plus 2 manganese dioxide or MnO2 plus 2 electrons will yield to manganese oxide MnO2 plus water H2O plus 2 ammonia or NH3. These products must be absorbed in order to prevent build-up of pressure in the vessel. This occurs by 2 mechanisms. These 2 mechanisms are CN-NH3-2Cl or the diamine dichlorozinc. And the other one is 2MnO2 or manganese dioxide plus H2 or hydrogen molecules, which will yield to Mn2O3 or manganese oxide plus H2O or water. So these products must be absorbed in order to build up the pressure in the vessel, and that particular reaction will only be applicable for zinc-carbon battery. And katulad nga na sinabi ko kanina, marami tayong klase ng types ng battery. So there are different chemical reactions. And this is just a few type of examples. So let's proceed to the hydrogen fuel cell working principle. No? Kung paano nga ba gumagana tong hydrogen fuel cell na to. So dito sa illustration, makikita natin doon sa anode terminal is may nagsusupply na hydrogen fuel or H2, no? Na kung saan yung hydrogen molecules na yun ay dadaan doon sa catalyst. And doon sa catalyst na yun is magbe-breakdown yung hydrogen molecules. At magbe-breakdown to into 2 molecules, which are the protons and the electrons, no? And dito, kung makikita natin dito, meron tayo ditong proton exchange membrane, na kung saan nga, dito, kung mapapansin nyo, yung proton lamang yung inaalaw nito na mag-pass through. Ibig sabihin, yung electrons ay nabablock nito. So, kung yung protons lamang yung nakakatagos dito, so, paano naman yung electrons, no? So, dito, kung makita nyo, meron dito sa taas na wire, na kung saan dito nakalagay yung load. At dyan, dadaan yung electrons, no? From anode to cathode. Pero, externally, no? Hindi doon sa loob ng hydrogen fuel cell. And dito, makikita nyo naman, pagkalabas ng protons and electrons ng hydrogen is magko-combine ulit yan. Pero, hindi lang yung molecules ng hydrogen yung magko-combine, o hindi na rin pati yung oxygen na galing sa cathode terminal na sinusupply din, no? Oxygen from the air. Na kung saan nga, pag nag-combine to, makakabuo to ng byproduct. And that byproducts are air and water vapor, no? Na kung saan nga, meron tayo ditong H2 fuel and then O2 or oxygen from the air. And then, what will happen? it will produce H2O or water vapor, no? At dito rin, kung mapapansin nyo, kung yung hydrogen molecules ay naghiwalay doon sa catalyst, ay ganun din mabubuo or magsasama yung hydrogen molecules at oxygen molecules doon sa kabilang part ng catalyst na nasa cathode terminal. At doon nga mabubuo yung byproduct na water vapor. So, eto na nga ay nagwo-work ng parang battery na kung saan yung electrons nga na dumadaan dito sa external wire ay nagpo-produce ng direct current doon sa load, no? Pero yung kuryente na to is direct current pa lang, no? And kailangan pa nitong i-convert papunta sa AC para magamit sa transmission, pero maliit pa to kaya kailangan munang i-step up gamit yung step up transformer, no? Saka pa lang siya madadala sa transmission. At dyan yung proseso ng pag-generate ng electricity using hydrogen power plant in the hydrogen fuel cell. So dito naman tayo. So, meron tayong panibagong illustration. Pero, katulad lang din to ng nauna nating illustration. But, in different perspective. So, kung papansin niyo naka 3D lang siya, no? So, katulad lang din ang diniscuss kanina, ganyan lang din gumagana yung isang hydrogen fuel cell. Na kung saan makikita nyo dito, ay mas mabivisualize nyo ng maayos, no? So, itong part na rin, yung kulay pula na to, diyan nag-i-split yung molecules ng hydrogen. Yan yung catalyst, no? At pag nag-split yan, mag-i-split yan into two, which is the protons and the electrons. At yung protons ay dadaan dito sa kulay green na to, na tinatawag na proton exchange membrane, while yung electrons is dadaan dun sa external circuit papunta sa load, then papunta sa cathode terminal, na kung saan mapupunta din siya ulit sa isang catalyst na i-combine yung hydrogen molecules at yung oxygen molecules na galing sa air, and magko-combine yun para makabuo ng byproduct na water vapor, and then the process will repeat.
So now, let's move on sa working principle ng hydrogen fuel cell or fuel power plant. So fuel cell works like batteries, but they do not run down or need recharging. They produce electricity and heat as long as fuel is supplied. So a fuel cell consists of two electrodes, a negative electrode or anode and a positive electrode. So sandwich around an electrolyte. Fuel such as hydrogen is fed to the anode and air is fed to the cathode. So in hydrogen fuel cell, a catalyst at the anode separates hydrogen molecules into protons and electrons, which take different paths to the cathode. So the electrons go through an external circuit, creating a flow of electricity. So the protons migrate through the electrolyte to the cathode, where they unite with oxygen and the electrons to produce water and heat. So ang hydrogen fuel cell ay nagbibigay ng malinis at mahusay na solusyon sa energy. Hindi tulad ng battery, hindi ito na uubos. So patuloy itong gumagawa ng kuryente at init hanggat mayroong hydrogen fuel na supply. So binubuo ito ng dalawang electrodes na nakapalibot sa isang electrolyte. So ang hydrogen ay pinapasok sa anode, kung saan hihiwalay ito ng isang catalyst sa mga protons at electrons. Ang mga electrons ay dumadaan sa isang external circuit na gumagawa ng kuryente, habang ang mga protons naman ay lumilipat sa electrolyte patungo sa cathode. So So doon nagsasama sila ng oxygen at electrons na gumagawa ng tubig, at bilang tanging ang byproduct ay isang water. So ang proseso ito na environmental friendly ay nagiging isang alternative sa fuel o sa fossil fuels na may mga applications mula sa mga sasakyan hanggang sa pagbuo ng kuryente. So ang patuloy na pananaliksik ay nagpapabuti sa kausayan at nagpapababa ng gastusin nito. So nangangako na mas malawak na paggamit sa hinaharap. So hydrogen atoms enter at the anode while oxygen is fed to the cathode. So the hydrogen atoms are separated into protons and electrons at the anode with the use of platinum catalyst. Then now positively charged protons passes through polymer electrotype membrane, so also called a proton exchange membrane. So it headings to the cathodes. So the polymer electrolyte membrane or PEM is specially treated material that looks something like ordinary kitchen plastic. It only allows positively charged ions to pass into and while blocks the electrons. So the freed electrons travel through a wire creating the electric current. So after passing through the circuit and the membrane accordingly, so once again with the aid of platinum as catalyst, the electrons and protons meet at the cathode where they combine with the oxygen to produce heat and water as byproducts. So ang hydrogen fuel cell ay gumagawa ng kuryente sa pamamagitan ng isang kapansin-pansing chemical na proseso. Ang hydrogen gas ay papasok sa anode kung saan hinihiwalay ng isang platinum catalyst ang bawat atom ng hydrogen sa isang proton at isang electron. So ang mga proton nito ay may pagkatapos ay lumilipat sa pamamagitan ng isang special na polymer or polymer electrolyte membrane or PMM. So patungo sa cathode, habang mga electrons ay dumadaloy sa pamamagitan ng isang external circuit na gumagawa ng isang maggamit na electric current. So sa cathode, ang mga proton, electron at oxygen mula sa hangin ay nagsasama na gumagawa ng tubig at init bilang tanging byproducts. So here's the schematic diagram ng hydrogen fuel power plant. So mayroon dalawang tangke na hydrogen and for oxygen. So yung oxygen is papasok doon mismo sa cathode, while yung hydrogen is papakain or ipiped dun sa anode na gagamit or sa tulong ng catalyst is mapaghiwalay into two elements, yung protons and electrons. So yung protons pupunta mismo dun sa cathode, then yung electrons mapipilitan dumaan sa external circuit na magpuproduce ng electricity. Then merong pag nagsama ulit yung oxygen and protons, electrons sa mismo cathode, may mabubuo na o may byproduct na mabubuo. Ito yung water. And then yung mapuproduce na electricity is direct current na kailangan ng inverter para magamit sa mga facility. Then para maabot yung further losses sa mga grid papunta sa substation is gagamit ng transformer para step up yung voltage o yung power ng mismong or na-generate na electricity. So why explore it? So fuel cell have several benefits over conventional combustion based technologies currently used in many power plants and passenger vehicles. So hydrogen is a very efficient fuel source capable of producing more energy per pound of fuel than gasoline. This means that an equal-sized tank of hydrogen fuel would give a vehicle a greater range or more power than when filled with gasoline in an internal combustion engine. So fuel cells have much lower emissions than combustion engines. Hydrogen fuel cells emit only water, so there are no carbon dioxide emissions and no air pollutants that create smog and cause health problems at the point of operation Also, fuel cells are quiet during operation as they have fewer moving parts. So, ang mga fuel cell ay nag-aalok ng maraming benepisyo kumpara sa mga traditional na technology na pagkasunod yung na ginagamit sa maraming power plant at sa mga vehicles. So, ang hydrogen ay isang napaka-epektibong mapagkukunan ng gasolina na may kakayahang magbigay ng mas maraming energy kumpara sa gasolina. So, nangungulugan na ito ang isang pantay na laki ng tangke ng hydrogen ay magbibigay sa isang sasakyan na mas malaking sakop o mas maraming kapangyarihan kaysa sa kapag napuno ng gasolina. So, ang mga fuel cell ay mas mababang emission kaysa sa mga combustion engine. So, tanong, why it hasn't gone mainstream? So, sa hydrogen production through methane. So, about 95% of the hydrogen is produced by a process called steam reforming, separating hydrogen atoms from carbon atoms in methane. This process is expensive and it releases greenhouse gases, which contributes to global warming, so thereby cancelling out of any benefits to the environment. Second is hydrogen production through water. So the other production method is electrolysis, which separates hydrogen from water. So the downside is that it's expensive. So for hydrogen to reach its full potential as energy source, scientists needs to figure out a way to produce it inexpensively from clean, renewable sources. And then last is yung cost. So the cost of fuel cells can be high given the use of platinum of the largest component materials. However, there is work underway to find non-platinum catalyst approaches. So ang mga produksyon ng mga hydrogen ay pangunahing gumagamit ng dalawang pamamaraan. So yung una nga, steam reforming ng methane at electrolysis ng tubig. So ang steam reforming, so nangingibabaw sa kasalukuyan, mas mahal at naglalabas ng mga buluhang greenhouse gases na binabawasan ng mga benepisyo sa kapaligiran. So ang proseso ito ay nagsasangkot ng papareact ng methane sa singaw sa mataas na temperature upang magawa ng hydrogen at carbon dioxide. So ang electrolysis sa bilang banda ay naghihulay ng tubig sa hydrogen at oxygen gamit ng kuryente na nag-aalok ng green hydrogen kung pinapatakbo ng mga renewable energy sources. So, gayunpaman ang electrolysis ay mahal sa kasalukuyan dahil mas mataas na pangangailangan sa energy. So, ang gastos ng mga fuel cell na madalas gumagamit ng platinum ay nagtatanghal din ng isang hamon. Bagamat patuloy ang mga pananaliksik sa mga non-platinum catalyst. So, upang lubos na maunawa ng potensyal ng hydrogen bilang isang malinis at na mapagkukunan ng energy, ang mga murang at nakapreserbang pamamaraan ng produksyon kasama ang mas abot kayang mga technology ng fuel cell. Sunod is hydrogen storage. So scientists are still struggling with the challenge of how to store hydrogen because it has such a low energy density. So hydrogen needs to be kept under strong compression to be a viable fuel source. So necessitating strong tanks and fueling lines, as there is currently no mainstream system of storage and distribution for hydrogen fuel. So this is major practical disadvantage. So hydrogen leakage can occur during many steps of its production and use. So Scientist magazine report in 2003 that hydrogen leakage from widespread use of hydrogen fuel would gobble about ozone faster than CFCs do. So may potential ng hydrogen bilang isang malinis na pagkukuhanan ng energy, may malalaking hamon pa rin sa pag-imbak at paghawak nito. Dahil sa mababang densidad ng energy, kailangan na malakas ang operation ang hydrogen upang maimbak ng sapat na energy para sa practical na paggamit. So ito ay nangangailangan ng matitibay at mabibigat na tangke at mga linya ng pag-fuel. So nagdaragdag ng timbang at komplikasyon sa mga sasakyan at infrastruktura. So sa kasalukuyan, walang malawak na sistema para sa pag-iimbak at pamamahagi ng hydrogen fuel na pagpapahirap sa malawakang paggamit nito. So, pagtaas ng hydrogen ay maaaring mangyari sa iba't ibang yugto ng produksyon, transportation at paggamit nito. So, merong latest development ang hydrogen fuel cell or power plant. So, long-range energy generation project. As a first of its kind power plant in the United States, the long-range energy generation project is 485 megawatts facility being equipped to run on a mix of natural gas and carbon-free hydrogen. So, it's nearing completion at the site of former aluminum smelter on the banks of the Ohio River. So, hydrogen 2. The facility first will burn a fuel blend that includes 5% hydrogen in a General Electric Corporation, so H-class gas turbine. So the plant is intended to transition to 100% green hydrogen over the next decade by relying increasingly on renewable energy to power electrolysis machines that split water into its hydrogen and oxygen elements. So, a long-range energy generation project ay isang pasilidad na may kapasidad na 485 megawatts na matatagpuan sa Ohio. So, isang makakabagong planta ng kuryente sa Estados Unidos na naglalayong gamitin ang hydrogen bilang paunahing mapagkukunan ng enerhiya. So, ang proyekto na ito ay tinayo sa dating lokasyon na isang aluminum smelter sa tabi ng Ohio. So malapit na itong matapos. So sa una, ang planta ay gagamit ng isang halo na natural gas na may 5% hydrogen na susunugin sa isang General Electric H-class na gas turbine. So ang layunin ay upang unti-unting lumipat sa 100% green hydrogen sa loob ng susunod na dekada. So ang green hydrogen ay gagawin sa pamamagitan ng paggamit ng electrolysis machine na pinapatakbo ng renewable energy na naghihiwalay ng tubig sa hydrogen at oxygen. So for the latest development, so Siemens Energy. So the construction begins on world's largest green hydrogen power plant, so part of unique baseload solar project. So Siemens Energy will operate the unique 170 million euros so facility in remote part of French Guiana, so which will provide 10 megawatts of power during the day and 3 megawatts at night. So a unique base load renewable project that combines the world's largest hydrogen power plant with 16 megawatts machine for electrolysis of water, so a 3 megawatts fuel cell, 55 megawatts of solar panels, and 20 megawatts or 38 megawatts-hour of batteries has begun construction in French Guiana. So, isagawa na ang construction ng pinakamalaking planta ng green hydrogen sa mundo sa part ng French Guiana. So, isang proyekto ng Siemens Energy na nagkakalaga ng 170 million euros. So, pinagkasama nito ang isang 16 megawatts electrolysis machine, 3 megawatts fuel cell, 55 megawatts solar panels, at 20 megawatts per 38 megawatts hour na baterya upang magbigay ng 10 megawatts ng kuryente sa araw at sa 3 megawatts sa gabi. Ito ay isang makabagong proyekto na ipapakita ng potensyal na green hydrogen bilang isang maasahan at malinis na mapagkukuhanan ng energy. So yun lang. So maraming salamat po sa inyong pakikinig. Sana'y naunawaan nyo ang potensyal ng hydrogen bilang isang malinis na pinagkukuhanan ng energy para sa ating bansa. Nawa ito ay isang mahalagang hakbang tungo sa isang mas sustainable na kinabukasan.